In order to subscribe for my channel, please click here or click here. Please like, share, and comments on my videos and channel. The next step configuration category we have is form category. Under form category, you can validate the functionality of fields and UI actions on a form. There are multiple steps under form category as well. Step configurations, and those are open a new form, open an existing record, field values validation, field state validation, add attachments to the form, click model button, click a UI action, and then at the last, submit a form. Let's take a look in our personal developer instance at how exactly you can utilize these step configuration for form testing. This is our personal developer instance. We will create a new test here. So we will click on new. Here I will give it a name as ATF demo form testing. I will click on save. So I have created a new test. Under this test, I will click on add step and I will directly go to form category. So this is the category which we are talking about. And as you can see, we have different step configurations which you can utilize in your testing. So starting with a new form, that means it will open up a new form, the new record, so that it can create any record you want. So in that case, you will utilize for incident management. So I will click next here. And here I will select the table. So this table would be incident. So I have selected incident table. So what it will do, it will open up the default form. If you want any view, it can also open that. But as of now, I will just open up the form. I'm not putting any view and I'm just clicking on, or maybe we can just mention, or if you want to put any notes, that's okay for now. So I'm not putting any notes. Execution order, you can see we have one. So what I will do, I will just click on submit. So this is the variables. So you can see it has those variables. You can put the, you can select the table name and you can also select the view, in which view you want to open that form. So I have added open a new form. Now, the important part is we also need to utilize that impersonation. So for that, what I will do, I will just create a new user as well. Here we have create new user. I will click on next. Now the important part here is I will just cancel it. I will add it again. And the reason behind it, because I want it at the beginning. I can definitely change the execution order later as well. So I will click on next. It says open a new form. It should not be. I will click here. I will go to all step, create new user, and I will select at the beginning, and I will now click on next. This time you can see we have create a user. I will select ATF and I have this ITIL. I will add a role. I have added ITIL role and I will impersonate this. So I will just click on submit. So these are the variables we have for create a user step configuration. And this is at the execution order 1, as you can see here. And I have opened the form as well. So it will open the incident form with this user. Now I will go to the next step. So under form, we have next step as open an existing record. Now, do you want to do that right now? So we will not follow it because we have to follow these step configurations in order. And then only you can see their functionality. So in this case, what we will do, we will first set the field values, or maybe we will check the state validations. State validations, that means, so I will just click on next, and that would open it after opening up the form. So as a tester, I want to open up the form, and then I want to see what all fields are mandatory, what fields should be visible, those kind of steps. So in that case, what I will do, read only should be number, because that's a number field should be read only. I can just close it for now. Visible, I think configuration item is the field which we definitely want to be visible. So in that case, I will select configuration item. You can also put any other field you want, but I'm just showing you the demo, so I will just select these fields. Then we have mandatory. Now, as of now, we have mandatory as caller and another is short description. These two fields are mandatory. So we want to check whether these fields are mandatory or not. In that case, I will click on submit. So this particular option, you can see this is basically utilized to test the field state validation. And if I click here again, just to show you, so what all things we can test, you can check the visibility, you can check the read only and mandatory, all these things. So visible, not visible, read only, not read only, mandatory, not mandatory. So if you want to test all these scenarios in your testing, you can definitely utilize field state validation. I will go back to my testing. So I have here, I will create another step. Now this time I will set the values. So I will set the values after step 3, that is state validation. I will click next. It will automatically pick the table. And that's something you can see. The reason behind it, because you are using that execution order. So in that case, it will automatically take that output, that what table was selected before. In that case, it will automatically push that table in this particular field so that you don't have to select it again. So in that case, I will put ATF demo for ServiceNow. And here I will just select able tutor, any just random user. I've selected it. If you want to put anything else like configuration item, you can also do that if you want. So maybe I will select this one, just an example. So you can set any field you want which is on the form, and that's an important part. So you can just set the field values right here, and I will now click on submit. So I have submitted. So now you can see we have already used 4 different kind of step configurations: create a user, open a form. If I talk about under form category, we have open a form, field state validations, set field values. Now I will click on next. Let's validate the field values, and how we will do that. What you can do, whatever short description you have mentioned, so I will validate that whether it is setting up the same values or not. What I will do, I will click on next, and I will do field values validation after this one. So I will click on next because I want to validate it, whatever data I am putting, whether it is changing or not. So because it might happen in ServiceNow. So if you want to validate it, you can definitely do that. Or maybe any field which is auto-populating. In that case, you can definitely utilize field value validation, whether that value, the value which you are expecting as a tester, and that value should be visible or not. So in that case, you can definitely select field value validation. So you can see we have already selected incident table automatically. I have not added it manually. Here I can put the condition, what kind of condition I'm looking for. So in that case, what I will do short description should be exactly what I have put in over there. So that's what I want, and I have added that user as part of my step. So I will do caller, and I will select able tutor. Yep. And I will not select the configuration item for now, and I will just submit it. You can see the timeout. That means because the form will definitely take some time. So, and how much time this should time out. And if I just put my cursor over here, you can see the number of seconds to wait for the step to pass. That means when this particular step will happen, it will action on this step. This particular time will be waiting. Then okay, I need to wait for 10 seconds, and then I will check whether I need to pass it or fail it. That's the reason. And it says when set, the test will keep trying until the number of seconds have been exceeded or the step passes, whichever occurs first. And that's a really important point to know, that until the number of seconds have been exceeded or it has passed, whichever comes first. That means if your test got passed, In that case, it will automatically be done, even it will take 2 seconds, for example. If, for example, you have mentioned 10 seconds, it will wait till 10 seconds without taking the action of passing and failing. And if it is not doing anything, if even it's not passing it, in that case, it will just time out. And that's the reason it is mentioned over here. So anywhere as per your form condition, wherever you think that maybe as per your server logic, maybe on your form, it takes time to pull some data. In that case, you can definitely change this time accordingly. It might happen that your test will fail sometime because of the same condition. You might need to increase the timeout value. You will definitely learn it when you will try to create practical test cases. Then I will click on submit for now. So this step is also created. So as of now, we have created total 4 test step configuration for form category. Now I will click on add step again. Here I have UI action visibility. While creating the form, so I have opened up the form, I really want to see which UI action is visible. So it might happen that you have multiple UI action, maybe any other button, resolve, save, new, whatever. If you want to test them, you can also test it. So if I will click here and I will just click on next. So after validating the field, I want to see whether this particular button is visible. If I don't want any button to be visible, it should not be visible because you might have written some condition in your development. In that case, you can select that negative testing as well. In this case, I will do a resolve. And if I select, I have, let's do one thing. Before that, I will go to incident and I will open it in new tab just to see what kind of form we get. Okay, so we have resolve and submit button. So I will do one thing. I will click on submit. Yep, I have submit button on existing record, but this is a new record. So what I will do, I will select this one. So this should be visible. If you want to select resolve as well, that's something you can also search. I think it's taking more time whenever I'm just trying to select resolve. Let's see. I'll select this one. I have selected here. I will close it and then I will just submit it. In this case, I have just checked the configuration of UI action visibility. That means in this step configuration, you can select which button you want to make it visible, which button should not be visible. That's something you can test with this particular option. So whatever UI action you create, you develop in your form, in that case, you can test that as well. And this is pretty much straightforward. If I click on add test step, now it says add attachments to the form. So the next step category, step configuration we have is add attachments to the form. What I will do, I will click on next. And here I can upload some attachment. So if I click here, for example, and I can select the file, at which file I want to attach. I will just select maybe this one for now. Now this file will automatically be attached to my incident. So I will close this and I will just submit it. So you can see it says add following attachment to the current form. So we have also attached the file. So if you really want to see, and when customer is attaching anything and you want to test that, in that case, you can also test it. And as I mentioned, if I click here and see, basically it add attachments to the current form. So if you want to add any attachment, in that case, you can definitely use this. Now we have click model button, click a UI action, and then also we also have submit a form. Now as you can see, we also had a submit UI action, and here we also have a submit a form. Now both will do the same thing in this case. So for example, if I go here, click a UI action. So let me do that and I will go to next. Here, what I'm doing, I'm going to click any UI action which I have on my incident form. So you can see I have table already selected. Here I have the UI action. So I can just search for the UI action. What I will do, I want to click on submit. And I will select this one. And I will just try to preview this record. Is it for incident? It is the global one. And ideally it should be global one. And if I select the second one, let's see. And I think that should also be global one. And the only option is for existing record, not new. So I would select the first one. That is really important to know. So whenever you will select these kind of options like UI actions or any other configurations, in that case, you have to make sure that you are selecting the right record. Otherwise, your test will definitely fail and you will keep on confusing that why my test is failing even I have selected the right button. So that's something it is really mandatory, and you have to make sure that you are selecting the right option and right record over here. Then we have assert type. You can see it says select one of the following assert types. So we have form submitted to the server, for submission, cancelled in the browser, page reloaded or redirected. These are the different actions, and you can see it also mentions what exactly the meaning of these different assert types. For example, you click the UI action and continues without making an assertion. You submit the form, that means you click the UI action and form was submitted to the server. Click the UI action and assert the form was not submitted to the server. That means you're not submitting to the server. And if you are clicking the UI action and then page was reloaded, and we are not looking for any assert form submission. So it's totally up to you what exactly you do. So in that case, what I will do, form submitted to the server, and I will click on submit. Let's try none for now. And I will just click on submit. So what exactly this will do, this will click on that button. Now, whatever action that button would take, it will automatically create the record. So the overall functionality of submit button is to create the record. So in this case, that will create the record. Now, what we will do, we have another step configuration, that is open an existing record. And we also have this one and this one. But before I show these options, let me just run this test. And let's see whether it's passing or failing. Okay, and now we will just run it. We will click here. It will open up the client test runner. We have it here. First, it will try to impersonate. So you can see we have ATF ITIL. Then it will try to validate the values, check the mandatory fields, pushing up the values, validating those values. You can see it says field value validations. Running, okay, UI action visibility, reporting step results. It is still testing, taking the screenshot. Let's see whether it got failed or passed. I'm pretty much sure it should pass, and yes, so it is passed. And if I go to my results, I have a screenshot, everything is success. That means I was able to create the record. And if I go here, maybe in the test log transactions, and if I go at the bottom and here, maybe I will just sort this by the latest time. You can see this incident was inserted. We have this incident and this incident was inserted. You will not find this incident because it always roll back the incident, but the good functionality, you can see we have created the record by clicking that button. Now let's do one thing. Let's add more steps, more step configurations we have. So here, what I will do, I will click on add step. Now you can see when you click the button, it will definitely create the record. Now how exactly you will open up the same record? Is it possible or is it not possible? So answer is yes, it is possible. And how exactly you can achieve that? So existing record, when you talk about existing record, so if I click this button and just go next, you can definitely open any existing record you want in the incident table. Either you search for that record, Or there is another good functionality. So if I click here, it will take me to the lookup list. That means I can open any record I want. I can search here, but I don't want to do that because I want to test the same record which I created in my previous step. And how you do that? I will just cancel this window. Now there's a really good feature in ATF, that is this one. Here you can look for the previous output, and that's a really good feature. And it will also tell you that where exactly record was creating, and I can reference that record. So you can see it was just creating a user. So we don't want to use user record here. Here we click the UI action, and that was giving up the output. ServiceNow ATF will automatically find it for you. So you don't have to worry about it. It will automatically check the previous steps, that what steps are giving me the output in record. So in this case, I will select this one here, and I want to select that record which I am getting from my previous step. So I will select this right now. So you can see this one is selected, and I have a view here. It's a blank view, and I am going to submit it. So that means I have opened that particular record. Now how you will come to know when I will run this test, that in that case you will check that yes, it has opened the same record. So let's do one thing. Let's try to create like record and with the test, and I will run the test again because we want to see whether it is opening up the same record or not. But in this case, what you can do, I think, yeah, let's run the test first. So I will click on run test, run here, and I will open up my test runner, client test runner. Okay, so this time I have 1, 2. That's my test ticket number. Okay, it is validating the fields. It will push up some values, that is caller, short description, maybe configuration item. Yes, it has done that. And now, again, it's taking screenshot a lot. And I will tell you, you can think of, okay, that is done. It is opening up the incident form now, and you can see it has opened the same record which we created. Attachment is also there, and it opened the same record which we created in our step. That is, in the last it was 1, 2, and everything is passed as well because it opened the same record. It was able to find, because as of now, the important point I want to tell you, that you must be thinking that it created the record, but why it didn't roll back? The reason behind it, the test is still running. So until and unless your test does not get complete, the record will still be there in your system. Once that the test is completed, then it will roll it back. And that's a feature we have. And if I go to the test result, you can see it was able to open the existing record, and this was the SysID of that particular record. So if I go to my test again, so I have all these steps. Okay, so we have completed most of the test step configurations, and if I click here, I have 2 more options, that is click a model button, and then I have a submit a form. In that case, I will do one thing. I will make this particular option as inactive. I can still keep the same order, but I will make it false, because this time I'm not going to click a button. I'm going to use that step. And that's the reason I wanted to show you the difference. There's no such, I think, much difference around it, because both the things are doing the same action. So it's up to you what exactly you want to use. And if you have a button which can create the record, you can utilize click a UI action. But in this case, we are going to use submit a form, but where we will do it just after add attachments to the form. I will click on next. And here you will see I don't have any other input except assert type. And here I will just do form submitted to the server, and I will just click on submit. No other action is needed. No other input is required for this particular step configuration. And now I have submit a form, and then I will run the test again to show you what exactly it does, whether it's failing or not. In this case, we can also, I think, try to test another step which we have. That's the last one, that is click a model button. Now you can see click a model button, it's basically by ID. That means this step is basically for a UI page which was open in a model, a specified button inside the model, and that is visible. And in this case, I think I have to create a new model button for you to click that button. So I have to create it, so I will do it later, but before that, let me run the test again. I will run this and you will see the result, that how exactly it is submitting the form. So it is just open the form. You can see I have that field read only as well, 1-3. I will just tell you the important part here while it is running. You can see it is still running and taking a lot of screenshots. Now, as you know, if you will keep on taking the screenshots, it will definitely take more time, because system is definitely putting some efforts to taking those screenshots. Now you can definitely get rid of this, and your test will be running in just quick way. And how exactly we can do that, I will show you right away. You can see everything is done. I will go to my test. Okay, here it is failing. That's good. At least we got some failures, because we'll be able to troubleshoot it. I go back to my result, and if I see, okay, it says this record, yes, and I know the problem. Do you guys know the problem? I will show you where the problem is. I go here, open a record, the same test we have. And the problem we have here in this particular step. The reason behind it, because we use the existing record from that particular step which we have disabled, and that was step 9, and we have deactivated that step, and that's it is complaining. So what I will do, I will cancel this, and I will just use the step at 8 which we have added later. In this case, I will select record here right now, update it. That's done. Your test will definitely pass. Now, as I mentioned, your test was taking a little bit more time, because it was keep on taking screenshots. Now, how exactly I can disable that? I can do that for sure. And I will go to Automated Test Framework, and I will go to Properties. Once you will go to Properties, here we have enable disable screenshot for capture during test execution, and the options we have: enable for all steps, enable for failed steps, disable for all steps. But yes, we want for failed steps. I think if I would recommend to you as a tester, you should not use the third option, because you definitely need a screenshot that where exactly it was failing. So in this case, I will do enable for failed steps only, and I will just click on save. It is saved. So now I will go to my test again. So this is my test, ATF demo form testing, and I will run the test, and you will see a big difference now. So if I click here, run test, run it, I will go to my client runner, and you will see the difference now. So it says open up the incident form. You can see now it will not take any screenshot. It is running, it has opened up the form, setting up the field values now, validating, setting up the field values. That's done. Configuration item done, short description done. You can see, you can't see any message which is related to the screenshot. It is not taking single screenshot. And it seems like reporting step failure, step result. Okay, and it opened. It is still taking. And let me check that. Maybe there is some issue. Everything is passed. Maybe our property did not save. And I'm pretty much sure that's okay. Everything got passed. And you know, we changed that configuration, but we are still getting these screenshots. And I'm surprised at why it is happening. I will go back to this option. And this is saved. It says enabled for failed steps. And that's strange because ideally it should not happen. Absolutely not. So it might happen, guys, that there might be some issue. So I can't test it right now because that's the only option you select, and then it will only pick up the screenshot for only failed tests, not for every test, even it is passing. So that's how you perform the testing for form testing. And that's a really good category where you can test the complete native form of ServiceNow. We are still missing the last section, the last step configuration, that is the click UI model. That is something I will show you in later sections because that needs some little bit. I need to create some alerts so that it can click that button and I can utilize that particular test step. So thanks for watching my video. Have a great day.